I love the music. The DJ is incredible.
The people are really awesome.
Headshot. Sit down. And do it. Pass out. Wake up. Made it.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for checking out the Aai AMX channel. I just wanted to share with you something. It took me a long time to make something like this. I had a concept in my head for a long time, and I was trying to overcomplicate it. A lot of times these things are much more simple than you think they need to be. But long story short, I came back into the DJ game about 10 years ago. I was using a DDJ SX2, an amazing 4-channel controller, which was DVS enabled. So I bought the license, I added 2 turntables, and I loved it. I didn't know that the MIDI connection on a controller is the weak link, causes a lot of us to move to standalone kind of gear and stuff like that. So while I was struggling with the Serato problems that I was having, a good DJ friend of mine at the time recommended maybe I should try Traktor and check out the Z2. Some of the best advice I was ever given. If you have never played with a Traktor Z2 and you're interested in getting into mixers and rigs that are more modular, more stable, I would highly recommend the Traktor Z2 to anybody. It's so rare to see a piece of gear that was made and never had an MK2. They nailed it the first time. It's a dollar for dollar. I think the Traktor Z2 is a better mixer than the DJM S11, which is my main go-to mixer nowadays. I gave my Z2 away in my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Congratulations, shout out DJ Varmar. I've been watching you, you're killing it over there. I'm super glad you were the one that received that Z2, even though I miss it. There was one other piece of gear from the Native Instruments ecosystem I could not leave. The F1, this bad boy right here, is an incredible piece of gear. I used to have the X1, which is kind of a similar controller to this. I had the X1 MK2, and now I'm seeing they made an X1 MK3. They're all amazing, amazing. Traktor blurs the lines between DJ performance and music production, and they were way ahead of their time when they introduced what they called the remix decks. Essentially, this is stems. They're breaking songs down into percussion, bass, melody, ambiance, that kind of stuff. And they create these banks for you to help you get started that are just tons of copyright-free loops that all quantize and play well with each other. Personally, I take quantize off. I make sure sync is off as well, because I prefer to trigger my own loops instead of pressing the button and having it wait until it comes back around to the downbeat. It was my intention to do this entirely within Traktor. I mainly got this Omni to try and just do the Omni and the F1 all Traktor. What I found when I reached out to Omni as far as connecting this to Traktor, they don't really know. They might have learned since, but a couple months ago when I was trying to get this connected to Traktor, they basically said good luck. I did figure it out. I created an aggregate audio interface. It's all like within the computer, but when I do that and connect the DVS through a cable, it's not able to connect an F1, X1, Z2. It basically takes up all the bandwidth to connect an Omni one-wire DVS to Traktor. So I was a little sad thinking that I couldn't do what I was hoping to do with this, and then it just kind of dawned on me one day, I can have the best of both worlds. I can run Serato and I can run Traktor and basically just kind of create endless loops to scratch over instead of the very repetitive and monotonous kind of stuff that most scratch beats are. So what it took, you may recognize this as a headache Omni. It's a very special order kind of thing. You get them in small batches here and there, but mostly I had to special order this, paid in Hong Kong dollars and stuff. It was a weird, awkward couple of weeks. I wasn't sure if I was getting scammed or not. This is by far, in my opinion, the best portable turntable on the market currently. Very interested to see what Korg does with their new handy tracks. That looks awesome. I might consider getting one of those. This right here is an Aai AMX. Was an oddball that was not very popular in its day, and a lot of people are catching on now and trying to swoop them up because this is perhaps one of the most all-in-one modular little controller devices ever. The big difference between the Z1 and the Reloop mix tracks? I don't know what they call it, something like that. The Reloop something. It doesn't have these transport controls on here. I have play buttons on this, so worst case scenario, everything else tanks. As long as I still got connection to my main mixer here, I can actually play a set with just this device very coherently. It's awesome. The AFX basically gives me all the control of a controller. When I first bought this, I actually bought it. The guy had attached this to a guitar pedal board with two of these, one on each side, which it was neat, felt very much like a controller. However, the whole idea of this concept is trying to shrink everything. And if I wanted a Newmark's Mix Track Platinum, I would have kept mine, which is basically what putting the three of those together did. It just basically made a oddball controller. And what this thing has that, again, very few have, I can assign this from deck 1 and 3 to 2 and 4 at the click of a button. So I got needle strips, I got all of my effects controls, cue points, loop rolls, auto loops, slicer. We basically have access to everything that a full-size controller experience would give you, but in a much smaller, modular, compact kind of setup. Aai is amazing. It's like Roland. It's just a great old name that hasn't been doing a ton in the DJ world, but they've been in the music production world forever, and their gear is quality, and I highly recommend it. My biggest complaint about this setup, this is not a fully standalone 2-channel mixer. If I wanted to just run turntables through this, I have to connect it to Serato in order to actually just run it as a standalone mixer, which is stupid. In my opinion, that's why it deserved to fail when it did, and if they ever make a new generation and they don't make it fully standalone, it's going to fail again. The Traktor Z1 is not a standalone mixer. It has to be connected to Traktor and I believe the Reloop, even the new one that they're making, the Reloop Mix Tour Pro or whatever, 3, I'm still pretty sure it has to be connected to software, which that sucks. Everybody wants a compact, tiny little standalone mixer this size for a 2-channel. That's adequate, and we should be able to see that sooner than later. But for some reason, we are kind of the oddballs, and they're not going to serve us in the market when most kids want a Denon Prime 4, these giant Reloop 808s, like massive controllers, which I moved away from pretty quickly. So let me just give you an idea of what we do here. This is just going to allow me to construct a beat on the fly. So like I said, you could leave quantize and sync on, then you could pretty much just poke them at random and it's going to wait until it comes back around. But since they're all synced, key locked, all that stuff, I prefer to cue them myself. And then we got pages of these. Like, it just goes on forever. It just gives you so much creative control. And again, all this is one of the rare things that you can actually post live sets. You can actually record it, put it on your thing. I have a set on my Instagram. Like, I was just trying to test it for like 15 minutes. I did a 2-hour set and didn't get any kind of flags for copyright, which is very difficult. The more subscribers you get, the more reach that you find, the more that they just absolutely throw copyrights at you to try and just show force. So this right here is kind of my my workaround, and I can just click back and forth in the interface. I can find anything I'm looking for here. If I wanted to re-drum this myself, it's as simple. Cut the drums out. Definitely a lot of creative ability from this one little unit. So we'll load up this one that's got an acapella out on it. One thing that makes it difficult, we cannot sync between Traktor and Serato. I believe we could through like the Ableton clock, but then we're just involving even more software, that kind of stuff. So let's see. If we drop this down to about 74, that should be pretty close. Can't currently get there with the amount of pitch control I have on this bad boy.
That's the anthem. Get your damn hands up. Hands up. Hands up. That's the anthem. Get your damn hands up. That's the anthem. The anthem. Anthem. Get your damn hands up.
So I just wanted to show off one of my favorite lo-fi beat making situations here. I often swap out this F1 for either the Roland SP404 MK2. I will often swap it out for my MPC Live. Anything that I already have similar stuff where I've kind of created stems, parts, pieces, individual. Anything where I kind of already have bits and pieces and I can create the loop on the side and then scratch live over it. I'll often put like just an acapella or a beat on Serato and then augment it with bits and pieces from Traktor. But yeah, ultimately they have all sorts of great sample banks. Like I said, this goes on for pages and pages. And they have completely different ones. I got a bunch of these more hip-hop ones off their Native Instruments website. I've also done some deep diving and found a bunch that are available not from Native Instruments, and they're also really easy to program your own loops. If you got sample packs or something you already know work well, you can absolutely just chop those up into individual pieces. I will say I don't love Serato stems the way that they isolate. I was using Synaptic unmixed drums, and Aai website and stuff for years before like they made this like official on everything. I was doing it with plugins and stuff, and the artifacts it leaves, it doesn't sound good to me. I'm not. It's great for when you're mixing out, turn it into a acapella, just scratch it a little bit or whatever. In a bar, who cares? But these type of tools are not the type of tools I would use for production. Where I spend the majority of my money these days is not on the brand new gear when it comes out. I'm finally out of that I have to have everything right now mentality. I love buying gear about a year and a half after it's released, after they've worked out the kinks. If I need it at that point, I'll know. Ultimately, though, I spend the majority of my money on old vinyl records. You get singles for a couple bucks. They were used to promote the track when it came out 20, 30 years ago, and you'll find remixes that were not commercial. You'll find acapellas and instrumentals that came from the studio sounding amazing. And when you paid for it to own it on a physical hard copy, you then have rights to rework it, produce with it. You own that. So that's my personal advice. If you're into stems, you like it, that's great. Like, don't be afraid to use it. If you want to get into production, I highly recommend that make sure you get better tools. Learn how to crossfade and cancel music out and just get there's so many ways you can build it. But when you start creating your own sample banks using these tools, and you have ownership over stuff that is not commercially circulated, you can't Shazam this kind of stuff, that's when your sound becomes yours and nobody can duplicate it or copy. Nobody's gonna come in and on a rig like this like school me. It's impossible. It takes so much time to set up and create and build your ability to do this on the fly. So this is really one of my favorites, because people, even DJs that have been doing this forever, me playing with this stuff, they're just like, ooh, what the heck is going on here? Play different, just be different. Like A to B mixing is great, but after a few months, if you're not really down packed on that and ready to explore other stuff, like you'd probably lack the kind of creativity that's going to allow you to really build a core audience. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to give you an idea of some of the stuff I've been into. I love weird stuff. What kind of weird rigs do you guys like to perform live with? Kind of stuff that makes sure you never give the same performance twice. You have to see me live to experience what I do. This is something that's Bad Snacks. She's awesome at it. Ricky Tenez. There's a lot more people that are choosing completely DAW-less live kind of production and stuff. And I dig it. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you guys found this useful, interesting, insightful. If you have any questions, comments about how to create something like this, let me know. Otherwise, I will try and come up with something else interesting to show you for the next one. Love you guys. Take it easy. Bye.
AMX 206.